Hello friends, welcome back to another Value Vintage Cards video. Today I'm going to be featuring Eddie Mathews. So Eddie Mathews is kind of one of those periphery players, I feel like, for my collection and maybe the hobby in general. So I have, I guess really it's his entire run minus the 52 tops, which is the monster. And even though I feel like I'm getting to be a little more known as a non-standard base issue collector, which I think is fair. I think I've evolved quite a bit where maybe two factors. One is I have his entire run minus the 52 tops, which is still very interesting to me. I think the 52 tops set in particular is one of those outliers that even though there's a pretty high population and they're not impossible to find, it's still so iconic that it's still exciting to collect that. But I think it's interesting. I don't know if I've evolved to where it's just different things are interesting to me, the less common, the less mainstream issues, or if it's simply, I mean, what else am I going to buy for Eddie Mathews besides the 52 tops? I've got one of everything else. I have definitely evolved into not wanting duplicates, so that is something when I have more than one, or there's a couple of cards I've moved off of because I do want to upgrade them, because I kind of had them as a placeholder. I never thought that was a thing, but I think it has become a thing for me. But what I would like to share today is some of the other items I have. So what you see before you is everything 53 tops and Bowman up through Eddie Mathews 1968. And then I did pick up a couple of these where they're just like manager cards. Later, obviously post-playing, I do have his one relic over here with a jersey patch, which is kind of fun too. But I will say, just to highlight, I picked the ones to stand up that I thought were just so cool. I mean, 53 Bowman is amazing. 56 tops is crazy cool card. Really enjoy those. If you're not really as familiar with Eddie Mathews, other than he was, the home run hitting teammate of Hank Aaron and Warren Spahn, Mathews, his career, he did have 512 career home runs, I believe it was. I think he's basically, him and Banks were almost parallel careers, except Banks was a shortstop and actually won some MVPs, where Mathews was a two-time runner-up. Mathews was a two-time home run champion. Like I said, two-time runner-up. His career WAR actually far exceeds Ernie Banks. And I'm a big Banks collector. I'm a huge fan of Ernie Banks, so it's not to down Ernie Banks whatsoever, but Mathews had a 95 WAR. So when you look at that, I feel like WAR is almost like hits. Like you have 2,900, you're a guy that had a lot of hits. You have 3,000, now you're in this elite club. I feel like WAR, there's that 50, 60 threshold where they say like, yeah, you're a Hall of Famer, and then there's like the 100 plus where you're like, oh dang, that guy had 100 WAR. Mathews, maybe it's just indicative of who he is, but 95, he's knocking on that 3-figure WAR stat, according to Baseball Reference. But when you take a look at his career too, so he came up at age 20, so he's very young, which is not atypical for the era. He did have, I think, 36 more games beyond this. He did not have that long of a career. So if you look at the back of his card, and he was basically a Brave for nearly his entire career. 509, I think he ended at 512. So he did have like 30 some odd more games, but he was wrapped up before his 37th birthday. So I mean, you talk about the guys, again, 500 plus homers before you're really even celebrating your 37th birthday. If you could have given him, 37, 38, 39, maybe 40, and even just eke in some home runs there, it puts him more in the high fives probably, if he just was, modern era DHing and putting in another 15 or 20 homers a year. So that's my plug for him being underappreciated. He was known for being a little salty with the media. Wasn't necessarily known for some of the other things that, bring off the field notoriety, the Clemente kind of reputation. But again, he did give back later. He was a manager, so he did some things. But let me share the other items I have, which are probably more so what folks might find to be fun and interesting beyond his base stuff. First one, and I've shared this before, I always disclose that, so hunt it down. Sorry, I'm a repeat shower. That is a 1988 reprint of the 1959 Home Run Derby cards, which I thought that was just super cool because it's autographed. And his autograph, I want to say that was like $35. So that's not something that's going to be a big deal to have to move on from. If you're looking at some unique items, that sells for the same as one of his like 60 something Topps cards. The other stuff I want to share is a lot of Braves regional issue stuff, which is neat. So I picked up a 54 to 56. It's a little bit tough to show just because of the size. But let me see if I can find a good way to show that thing. It's a postcard. So postcard back. What I really wanted to do is be able to show the flip to it. So, really neat image. Definitely enjoy that. That's about as far out as I can go. It's just tough to get that thing in camera sight. But 54 to 56 Spic and Span postcard. The next one, just to show something different again, 1965 J Publishing. Another really cool image. So listed as Milwaukee Braves. That one is slabbed. BVG. Very good. Nothing wrong with that. It's blank back, so nothing exciting there, but just really cool image. And I don't think any of these were all that expensive. They probably cost the same as any other card. This one I snagged. I thought it was a nice condition. Johnston Cookies produced cards for a few years. I know 53, 54, 55 for sure. So that's the 53. Obviously that's like your generic knockoff 52 Topps because it has that very similar borrowed feel to it. But cool. I didn't in a 6 and it still wasn't very expensive for me. So 53 would be his second year. So I'll take that all day. The next one's another monster. So it's a premium. And it's another Spic and Span issue. So the premiums I think were issued from 53 to 57, if I recall. And this was frustrating. You order things through the mail and sellers don't necessarily package them as they should. This thing was in better condition before I got it. I don't know if that's going to show up on camera, but there is a crease that goes right along it now. I want to say it was more or less, crease free. So other than corners and some age colors to it, it was decent and still, again, priced the same as like a Topps card. So I will take something cool and unique like this, 7 out of 7 days a week versus 58 Topps or something. So I got this thing in. They're not super scarce or anything, but they're also there's not 80 of them on eBay or something. So I reached out to the seller and I just said, hey, super bummer. Came creased. I always take pictures of the packages. If a package looks like it could be messed up, I take a picture of that before I even open it so they can see like I didn't open it or replace the card or do something weird. I try and take some video. I take some pictures just to document it, and reached out to him, and I just said, crushing, I really wanted this item, it was a fair price, and now it's in worse condition. I'm still willing to take it. What are your thoughts? And they were very, very good to deal with. They said, well, what do you think and what's fair? So I just said, well, comping it, it's gone down in value by, $25-$30, something like that. And they said, we'll refund you $30. That's fine. Which was more than half the price. So that went for a very fair price based on condition. It just wasn't what I originally intended. So I think those are really neat. The Spic and Span set ranges different items, like I showed, postcards, premiums, different items in different years, different poses. So really something cool if you're looking for some alternative items for 50s Braves. So that's some Eddie Mathews stuff. And then the last piece that I will share is my favorite. I feel like we all do that, right? We kind of save dessert for last. We save the best for last. So Eddie Mathews, Hank Aaron, double autograph. It is just a picture. There's nothing like super crazy about that. And sorry for the glare and shine. I'm just trying to get the little label in there. So PSA DNA certified autographs. Can't beat that. It's super cool. So that is what I have for Eddie Mathews as of right now. I never call a collection complete, but he's not necessarily my top 10 people I pursue. The 52 tops is definitely on the radar at some point, but that's a comic card, so that's one you have to really decide. Do you want to pursue some T206 Hall of Famers or cross the 52 tops Eddie Mathews off the list? So it's a decision, it's a choice. But Eddie Mathews definitely underappreciated. Like I said, I wasn't really aware till I kind of refreshed my memory that he retired so young. And 95 WAR, I think, just perfectly captures where his career falls. 2 runner-ups for MVP. I mean, that's just kind of almost what you'd expect to hear about Eddie Mathews. So appreciate y'all watching. Hopefully I showed you something that was interesting, and I will catch you on the next one. Thanks.